The Ford GM is the greatest car ever made, so why didn't anyone buy it? That's the question we're asking ourselves today. They don't make them like this anymore. In the 1980s, a car called the Ford GM was released by Ford. It was an all-electric vehicle that had no engine and only 2 wheels. The company was so successful with this car that they made it their new model for many years to come. However, in 1994, when it came time for Ford to make another electric car, the F-150, they decided not to because people didn't want them anymore. What makes this story even more incredible is that at one point before selling off its entire line of non-polluting vehicles, which included hybrids, Toyota actually decided not to sell its Prius cars because they weren't popular enough yet, however. After several years without sales numbers coming back up from consumers who couldn't afford them anymore, mainly due lack of availability outside major metropolitan areas where subsidies were available. Ford's green concept car. The Ford GM was a concept car made by Ford Motor Company in Detroit, Michigan. It was unveiled at the 1993 Chicago Auto Show and has been called the most fuel-efficient vehicle ever built. The GM's design was based on a study of how people use their cars to get around, including how they park and drive in urban areas, what kinds of roads are most efficient for them, whether or not it makes sense for drivers to buy hybrid vehicles, since they would be able to travel farther per gallon. Most efficient car ever made, and no one bought it. The GM was the most efficient car ever made. It also had one of the longest ranges in its class, and was the only electric vehicle to be mass-produced by a major manufacturer, Chevrolet. The GM was also rated as one of America's best vehicles by Consumer Reports in 1971. Unfortunately, when it came time to purchase an electric vehicle from GM, customers balked at paying thousands of dollars more than they already did for their gas guzzlers. It was way ahead of its time. The GM was a hybrid car, and it was years ahead of its time. It used an electric motor to help power the wheels and also an internal combustion engine to help create power when needed. The GM was also one of the first cars to use lithium-ion batteries as well as fuel cell technology in combination with an electric motor, and these technologies have become more common today. The GM wasn't just about being green or saving energy. It was about building a new type of vehicle that would appeal to everyone from commuters who needed transportation on their daily commute through urban areas like New York City, where there were no gas stations all over. America's cities, people who wanted an eco-friendly vehicle but didn't want something too extreme. Parents who wanted something safe enough for their kids but still fun enough for them. Again, later on down the road when they're adults themselves now living our lives away from home because those places require driving everywhere except maybe around town if you live close enough so things aren't too far away anyway. Then again, maybe not since those places tend not to exist anymore anyways. The Ford GM is the greatest car ever made, so why didn't anyone buy it? The Ford GM is the greatest car ever made, but it didn't sell. Why did no one buy it? It's too expensive. The base price of the car was $5,000 in 1969 and more than $15,000. Today, it had a top speed of just 60 miles per hour, 97 kilometers per age, and only 75 horsepower from its 4-cylinder engine, although that's still better than today's average SUV or luxury sedan, with an engine that makes less power than a lawnmower. Asterisk, it doesn't get good gas mileage. The GM could get about 30 miles per gallon on average, but you'd have to drive it like crazy for that kind of mileage because there wasn't any air conditioning. It was unable to cool itself. And even though there were no cup holders in those days either, if you wanted to run errands during summertime heat waves when everyone else was trying their best not to die because they were trapped inside their cars, well then maybe this wouldn't be such an awesome choice after all. So what does this mean for you? I don't know. But if you want the most efficient car ever made, it's probably still worth looking into. Let me know by commenting below and giving it a thumbs up if you liked this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel